A year after the Parkland shooting, a day of memorial services is held to remember the lives lost, but conversations about gun reform continue.
South Florida is experiencing a record-high backlog of immigration hearings.
And a second chance in life and in the workforce for those who have been previously incarcerated. This and more on today's News by the Bay. Hello, welcome to News by the Bay. I'm Linda Terrelong.
And I'm Michelle Marchant. Here are some of the top stories we are following. One of the most controversial topics in South Florida, immigration. Thousands of immigrants left in limbo after their court hearings are delayed, following years of systematic issues, the backlog reaching new heights after the partial government shutdown, officials now scrambling to catch up, as some residents wonder if they'll ever gain citizenship. Bethany Araque has more.
No more ICE! No more ICE!
Here, outside of the immigration facility in Miramar, immigrants wait in line to check in with ICE officials. As immigration keeps rising, so does the number of immigration court hearings, which have only gotten worse after the partial government shutdown. As of May 2018, there was a record of over 700,000 immigration cases pending. After the 35-day-long shutdown, the backlog increased to more than 800,000. This was due to the fact that Congress couldn't agree to fund construction of a wall on the U.S.-Mexico border. The backlog is made up of all kinds of immigration cases. Most involve people waiting for a judge to determine whether they should be allowed to stay in the U.S. or whether they should be deported. Tony Alvarez is an immigrant from Cuba who shared his struggles with the current immigration system. We were able to speak with him after he finished his check-in at the immigration facility. He's been in the States for 40 years and has been deported once because he missed his second appointment with a judge. He's still undergoing trials to become a citizen.
Conmigo han cometido gran injusticia. Y sabe yo cuántas por ahí, cuántas más hay, injusticia. Pero bueno, yo todo se lo dejo a Dios, al Señor.
As the backlog has grown, so has the wait time for hearings and decisions. Cases that result in relief, like a grant of asylum, last around 3 years, or nearly twice as long. While asylum seekers wait, they can remain in the country, but are in a legal limbo. However, a long wait can hurt immigrants in the process. Cases may be harder to prove years down the line if conditions change at home or if witnesses become unavailable. Sandra Patricia Jaimes has been an immigration lawyer for 12 years in the state of Florida.
Hay 800,000 casos.
Nationwide, there are 800,000 cases that are currently backed up, including a backlog that was building up 2 years prior. If the government shuts down again, this is going to increase the backlog an additional 15%. This means that some cases that have been pushed to 2021 will be pushed back to as far as 2023.
In the state of Florida, there are some organizations that are trying to help immigrants in their time of need. For example, the Florida Immigrant Coalition, or FLIC, has a mission to amplify the power of immigrant communities to impact the root causes of inequality, defending and protecting basic human rights. Thomas Kennedy, the Deputy Political Director of FLIC, has been part of the organization since 2010 as a volunteer and member, as he once used to be an undocumented immigrant.
A lot of the people who are living day to day don't have, those resources. They don't have, the connections. They don't have the network. They don't have, the knowledge. And, in our organization, we try to connect people to those resources, but it is such a pervasive problem in these communities that we don't have the capacity to get to everyone, and neither would Debbie Wasserman Schultz or Donna Shalala or, whatever your rep is. They don't have the capacity to deal with everyone in your district, especially in majority immigrant districts like this.
There is currently no end in sight to this growing backlog. In order to try to speed up the process, immigration courts are hiring more judges to handle the caseload. As lawmakers debate on a concrete decision, more than 800,000 cases are still left pending. For News by the Bay, this is Bethany Araque.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis continues to roll back decisions made by his predecessor, Rick Scott. And this time, he's taking the fight to the state legislature, saying the ban on smokable medical marijuana goes against voters' wishes. Judith Aceguetre tells us more.
In 2016, 72% of Florida voters voted in favor of Amendment 2, a law to legalize medicinal marijuana. However, former Governor Rick Scott made it illegal to smoke. The law also capped the number of medicinal marijuana licenses and dispensaries in the state.
A lot of people who need the CBD or need the marijuana, they need to go on the streets and get it. And when you do that, you have no idea what you're getting. And a lot of different shapes of the plant, of the weed, it has different purposes and different effects.
Medicinal marijuana has many health benefits and can be used to treat pain or increase appetite in many illnesses.
I think that medicinal marijuana has potential to help a lot of people if given the opportunity.
Dr. McKenzie educates patients and uses social media to promote the legalization of marijuana.
Right now, the lifting the smoking ban is going through committee right now. And currently, they put in a poison pill essentially in the smoking ban, saying that if somebody wants to smoke it, they have to get another certification from a non-cannabis certified physician.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis wants the ban on medicinal marijuana ended and the limits on treatment centers loosened.
I personally think that Governor DeSantis is going to probably have to intervene using his executive powers to vacate the court decisions.
If the law does not change, the governor has threatened to take matters into his own hands. The state legislature will hold its annual meeting on March 5th to decide the fate of smokable medicinal marijuana. I'm Judith Alsager with News by the Bay.
It's been an emotional year for South Florida, especially for students at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. Gabby Corral went to Parkland to observe just how the community was remembering the lives lost on the one-year mark of the tragic shooting.
Flowers of all colors are now part of Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, where a memorial garden called Project Grow Love was created right at the edge at the school to honor the 17 students and faculty that lost their lives. The garden was created by teacher Ronit Rioven and Victoria Gonzalez, a Stoneman Douglas student that lost her boyfriend at the shooting.
My teacher and I, Miss Rioven, she's my AP psychology teacher. She was in the building during the shooting, and I lost my best friend in the shooting. So we were connected in that way, being so devastated, and there was nowhere to go. There was no place of peace, no place of anything to remember those people who died, and we thought that that was necessary.
During the commemoration, family and friends of victims gather at the Memorial Garden to read poems they wrote next to a 3D printed statue of Joaquin Oliver that his father Manuel Oliver created to illustrate the need for regulations on 3D printed guns after his son lost his life in the Parkland shooting. After the mass shooting that happened at the school, students and parents say that their life is not the same.
I have a son that attends the school. He's now a senior, and at the time he was in 11th grade when this happened. He was in the building on the second floor, and it really brought awareness to me as a mother to make every day count with my children and to not bypass all the little moments. For me as a community, we're just scared, to go to school. Things have changed, more security. It's just a scary feeling to just go to school, and it's sad.
The garden was also surrounded with flowers, letters, candles, shirts, and sweaters honoring the victims and showing support to the school. Last week, the Parkland community also hosted a jazz benefit concert performance by the MSD Jazz Band at Coral Ridge Presbyterian Church to play tribute for the 17 lives lost. Church pastor Duane Meller talked about the security changes both the community and school have faced since the incident happened.
We've seen it even on our campus. We've seen heightened police presence. We've had to hire security for every event. So things have changed just even with the parents and the way that they perceive what's safe now. It's kind of taken the innocence away a little bit in our community.
It's been 1 year since the tragedy hit Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. The Parkland community is continuously healing through music, support, and encouraging events. Reporting for News by the Bay, I am Gabby Corral.
In the midst of all the pain, the Parkland community has stepped forward with the student-led Never Again movement, which advocates for gun reform.
And after the break, I will be joined by two special guests to discuss the heated topic, so don't go anywhere.
Do you need structure in your life? Do you want to become a diverse leader? Do you want help to subsidize your college tuition? The ROTC Army program at FIU is your answer.
The main reason I joined ROTC was not only for a patriotic desire that I have for the nation, it's also because I could not pay for school and it provided all the funding for school. So I will actually, when I graduate here in 2 months, I will be debt-free.
Emotional strength has definitely been the biggest thing I've gained from ROTC.
Don't miss out on this life-changing opportunity.
Welcome back to News by the Bay. We are continuing our segment on a year after Parkland, and to add on to the conversation that everyone's been having since the Parkland shooting, gun reform, we have special guest Sergio Rosenblatt, whose daughter was at Stoneman Douglas when the shooting occurred, and Chief Alexander Casas from FIU Police Department. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Now, Sergio, your daughter was at Stoneman Douglas in the same freshman building when the attack happened. How did you find out?
She texted me. She said that there was a shooter, an active shooter in the school, to call 911. I initially did not believe it. It was, I don't know, a second or two. And then I realized that this is probably true. It's not her personality. It's not the type of joke that she would make or anybody that I know would make. And I called 911 and they confirmed the fact that they had already received phone calls. That's when I took off and drove to school.
What was going through your mind at that moment?
At that moment, it was panic. At that moment, I went into a street. There was traffic already. There's a rotunda right by school. I jumped the median in the grass. I came around and out again until I found a spot in a gas station, and I left the car there and I ran towards school.
Now, Chief Casas, gun reform as it is right now, they changed the age limit from 18 to 21 in order to be able to purchase assault rifles and bump stocks. But now Congressman Mike Hill just proposed a bill for it to all be revoked. Do you feel that owning these types of weapons poses a danger to citizens?
Absolutely. Having seen the amount of damage these weapons can do and what they're designed to do, which is inflict as much damage as possible in the least amount of time, yes, I don't think it's a good idea to have things that make that even worse than what it is now. I'd have a hard time. I have very little argument in support of those things.
Great. And Sergio, as of right now, also some of the things that were proposed were for teachers to be armed. Coming from a situation where your daughter could have lost her life, do you feel that she would be safer if her teachers were armed?
I don't know the answer to that. There are a number of reasons. First of all, and the chief can discuss this better than I can, but the percentage of impacts in an active shooting, dangerous situation, even by trained police officers, is lower than we think. The Pulse nightclub, there were 200 bullets that were fired by the authorities and 8 impacted. So the fact that he will not be able to tell friend from foe. They don't know the staff, and they walk in and they see down the hall somebody holding a weapon. Is he friend or foe? How will the police react to that? You expect somebody who's not trained to be successful hitting a target? They just might as well, the odds are the same. They'll hit their toe, a child, or an aggressor. And the DNA of a teacher also. Will a teacher be able to shoot the kid that left her class a year ago or 2 years ago, or will her intention be to hug the kid and say, come here, Johnny, let's talk? So I am 100% against it.
And Chief Casas, bouncing off what Sergio just said, this incident could happen anywhere. If it happened at FIU, you as law enforcement and first responder, would it make it more difficult for you if you had all these teachers armed and holding guns, detecting who's friend from who's foe?
I do believe that it would. I believe it would turn a chaotic incident into an incident of mayhem. The way the statutes are being proposed now, I wouldn't be in support of it. You're introducing, not only are you making it more difficult for your first responders to process all the input that they're getting and determine who's friend and who's foe and make the right decision on who they need to interact with. You would have to really teach the person carrying that weapon what the expectations are of them, because you're not introducing a firearm into an environment where there could be conflicts that aren't necessarily armed conflicts. What happens if you have an aggressive student? You've now got a weapon in that classroom where someone might be inclined to use that to address that conflict if they perceive that threat. So you have to be very clear on what the rules of engagement are. The training has to be exceptional. In law enforcement, even with all the training we get, we're still not perfect. You just can't have that level of training to a faculty, a teacher. That's a big ask of that individual.
And we're making a big assumption that the general population of teachers do not reflect the general population, period. Mm-hmm. So teachers have problems. There are people teaching, I can assure you, they have psychological problems, family problems, bankruptcy problems. Normal problems, and that doesn't mean they're stable. That's such a huge leap of faith. It's a real interesting attempt to sell more weapons. That's all it is.
Sergio, so what would you like to see done?
Well, I think there are 3 steps, or 3. This problem has 3 legs, and they're not independent of each other. Weapons is an issue, or are an issue. Mental health we have to address, and we have to address hardening of schools. You can't have one without the other. The hardening of schools is a gigantic problem. We need impact bulletproof windows. We need corners that are safe, and not all rooms are designed the same way. People are clamoring for metal detectors. It makes sense, but when we go to a sports event or a concert and they have metal detectors, you walk across and there's a person on the other side per metal detector. So now we got to follow the money and say, okay, who's going to pay for this? Who's going to finance every single person that has to be on the other side checking these kids in? And so that's one. Mental health, without being political, we had a governor who's now a senator who turned down Medicaid help, so our state did not receive $800 million from the federal government. Those $800 million, some of those dollars would have been accrued and dedicated to help the kids that have issues, mental health issues. And as far as the guns, the first step is to attack the AR-15 that should not, like the chief said, they're weapons of mass destruction. They are designed to kill. Those bullets, they tear organs. Some of the kids were alive when they found them, but the surgeons couldn't save them because there was nothing to sew back together because they were shredded. So those weapons do not belong. And I'd like the authorities, somebody with his expertise, if I want a weapon, to say, yeah, check, this guy checks all the boxes. Let's give him an AR-15. But not just go up and buy it, not go to a gun show and avoid the whole system.
Chief, any additional comments?
For me, it's not even, I hear the argument of the Second Amendment. For me, it's not an argument of the Second Amendment. For me, it's an argument of how do these things complicate my ability or impede my ability to do everything I can to maintain a safe and secure environment. We talk about the AR-15s. I think Sergio brings up a good point. You shouldn't have that one argument without the 2 other pieces, the 2 other components. I think you have to look at it holistically and address them all together because one does affect the other. And even if you want to say, okay, we can't ban AR-15s, do you need 30 rounds in a magazine? You've gone beyond sporting. You've gone beyond, vermin hunting, shooting rats. You've gone beyond what legitimate uses of that rifle could be into now 30 rounds. I mean, are you going to shoot 30 rats or 30 squirrels or whatever? You just don't need that much, I don't think. And it starts to water down the argument. What I find is I have discussions with individuals about that is it's a zero-sum game. It's either an absolute right or you're taking all my rights. I don't think it's that. The argument should be that. There should be a vetting process. There should be a middle ground where we can have those that want to exercise their right to own firearms do so in a responsible manner that maybe minimizes the ability to impact the society, the greater society, and do this kind of damage that we've seen occur time and time again.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for being here today. Now, don't go away. There will be more News by the Bay after this.
At the JCC Rocksteady boxing program, it's not always easy to identify a Parkinson's disease patient. Stiffness, depression, and long faces are replaced by happiness, agility, and joy.
My ultimate goal is to be as old as I can get and be as far from a wheelchair as possible.
This free program helps Parkinson's disease patients improve their symptoms drastically.
If you have Parkinson's, this is a program for you.
And we're back to News by the Bay. People who have been incarcerated experience unemployment 27% more than the national average. A chance for women that were in prison to rise above their past is what a boutique in Miami is all about. Claudia Hernandez tells us how they're accomplishing this.
Thank you so much. You have a great day. Dragonfly Thrift Boutique originated from an organization called LEAP, which stands for Ladies Empowerment and Action Program. Founded in 2009, LEAP teaches practical employment, entrepreneurship, and essential life skills. The program was created by the executive director, Malia Lindquist.
It's just a place that's always happening. The community has come by, and they come in at first and it's, wow, this is a beautiful store, but then they meet the women in our program who work here, and they not only fall in love with the store, they fall in love with our women and the mission.
Women who graduate from the LEAP program go on to work at the boutique. They learn merchandising, customer service, and sales techniques, among other things. Being a two-time felon, Shazania Horton says it limits her on finding a job, even though she has the skills.
Being here at Dragonfly, it has taught me that I'm not going to always have the ideal situation or the ideal job, and just take things as they come.
Isabel Diaz, a college student who wants to do social work in the future, interns for the boutique.
I believe everyone deserves a first chance, a second chance to recover, to do well, to prove themselves.
Dragonfly Thrift Boutique isn't the only thing these ladies are involved in. LEAP also hosts events once a month, book clubs, and even conferences through blogs.
Women coming out of prison have a more difficult time than men coming out of prison getting a job, and they are paid less. It's a problem.
I'm an ex-felon 25 plus years ago, and I heard about the organization working to help women, ex-offenders to have a better quality of life, and I'm all about that. So I came to see exactly what it was and see how I could help.
According to Lindquist, every year about 200 women apply for the program. Rebecca McLemore was one out of the 5 that got chosen this past year.
I've been to the bottom. I look seriously to the bottom, and and it's easy to get there and it's hard to come up, but as long as you put your mind to it, everybody deserves to be a better person.
This is Claudia Hernandez reporting for News by the Bay.
Those interested in volunteering or learning more about the boutique can visit dragonflythrift.org.
So, Linda, what's the word you dread the most when you enter your car?
Traffic.
Okay, close, but give me another word.
Then definitely construction.
Yes. So get ready, because officials say 3 major Miami highways are being reconstructed to decrease traffic congestion. But drivers aren't too thrilled, saying the elaborate upgrade might not be worth the extra commute time. Commuters facing construction for the next 4 years as Interstate 395, State Road 836, and Interstate 95 get a facelift.
It's going to be a nightmare almost every day.
Elizabeth Sosa commutes daily to downtown for work and isn't looking forward to the extended commute.
Miami-Dade County is kind of like infamous for putting certain dates to their construction plans and not go through with them. They're always delayed more than at least 2 years. I mean, the best example is the Palmetto Expressway. The thing has been in construction since I've been a kid.
The reconstruction is also expensive. with the Florida Department of Transportation and the Miami-Dade Expressway Authority footing the bill for the $802 million project. It won't just be additional lanes and ramps, with plans to give 836 a double-decker to connect drivers straight to the MacArthur Causeway, and a 6-arch signature bridge over Northeast 2nd Avenue and Biscayne Boulevard. Officials also say the enhancements will improve safety and community engagement. Construction tests just beginning after plans were temporarily put on hold following a lawsuit regarding the bridge's design. But despite the setbacks and temporary traffic headaches, officials say the reconstruction will be worth it in the end.
These arteries converge at an interchange that sees over 450,000 vehicle trips every day. And this project is greatly needed to reduce congestion, improve access, efficiency, and safety along the interchange and the 3 roadways.
Skeptical Sosa hopes they're right.
If the end goal is to alleviate all of that congestion, I mean, it's kind of like a necessary evil to go through.
I think it's safe to say that no one in Miami is happy with anything that has to do with traffic.
Well, I guess we'll just have to wait until 2023 to see how everything turns out.
Now, traditional gyms can be intimidating for some people. Kaylin Cantor checks out a few innovative fitness classes offered in the Miami area.
We're starting out at Stardust Fitness Studios here in Doral. This unique space allows for people to do yoga in some very out-of-the-box ways. One of their main classes is their anti-gravity yoga, consisting of doing the class while suspended from silk hammocks suspended from the ceiling. Studio owner and founder Johanna tells us why this unique form of yoga is so beneficial.
What I found is that aerial silk really does help you decompress your spine, release tension from your body, from your joints.
This is my first time ever trying Stardust Yoga, and yes, you get your workout in because we do crunches and stuff like that, but it was way more fun than what you're thinking about the workout, and I would definitely come back and tell all my friends to come.
Next up, we check in at Sabercraft, a fun fitness class that mixes yoga, music, movement, and the most important, saber choreography. This class brings those elements together with the use of a lightsaber sword that participants use to light up the room. This class is created to not only bring up your heart rate, but truly feel empowered by the experience. But how exactly does fitness tie into the experience? The creator of the class himself tells us how this is achieved.
What we do is we turn off the lights, we turn on the sabers, we put on some music, and then you go through your drills. So for a lot of folks who don't work out, this is an opportunity for at least once a week to really get into their body and use it.
Sabercraft is one of the best exercises I've ever done. It's almost like you get to relive your childhood memories. You have this LED saber you get to swing around and recreate these awesome fights with, while also getting a nice cardio workout and also working on your fundamentals, even with yoga thrown in the mix.
Lastly, we turn the swords to water here in Coral Gables as we visit Water Bike Studio, a workout that takes biking to the water with their spinning classes taking place inside of a pool. Benny Barra walks us through why a workout like this is so beneficial.
If you're new to exercise and not too sure what you're going to do in terms of going to the gym or how you can react to any type of exercise, exercising in water is extremely safe. It preserves the integrity of your joints while you're burning a high rate of calories.
You see, fitness doesn't have to be difficult. These classes will get you burning calories while having fun at the same time. So why wait any longer to get the fitness party started and you on your way to a healthy lifestyle? I'm Kaylin Cantor for News by the Bay.
Well, I don't know about you, Michelle, but I think I am definitely ready to try one of those water cycling classes.
You'll have to let me know how it goes. And speaking of fun activities, the 3 Points Festival returned to Wynwood's Art District. The festival combines music, art, and technology into 3 fun-filled days with over 100 performances from local, rising, and experimental artists. And unique artwork perfect for those Instagram selfies.
Well, looks like that's all the time we have. I'm Linda Terrelong.
And I'm Michelle Marchant. This is News by the Bay.
Thanks for watching.